Pittsfield Teach. The relationships that we have formed and the bonds that we've made, regardless of whether or not you teach in Pittsfield or come back to the Berkshires, I really hope we can stay in contact and I can support in any way I can, and you guys in your careers, whatever it is you decide to do. That's been the biggest takeaway for me. I also feel like I've started to look at my community from a different perspective. I grew up in Pittsfield. I moved to Boston. I moved to New York City. I lived in big cities and ultimately came back to raise my family because my family's here. But I am starting to see Pittsfield in a really different way. And now I'm thinking, what can I do to make it more welcoming, more open, more just better for the young people that do live here, so that they want to come back someday and work here and be a part of it, continue to make the community better. My favorite memory from this week was the baseball game. I had fun at the baseball game. Even though we didn't actually see much baseball and just saw the sun delay, bringing my kids to meet you guys and seeing the immediate genuine connections you guys formed with my kids is beyond, and was so awesome for me. That was my favorite. So my vision for Pittsfield in the next 10 years is to become a place where people want to live, that is more progressive in terms of the education we offer kids, in terms of the experiences that we offer young people. I'm thinking from the perspective really of my own kids growing up in Pittsfield. I want them to be exposed to different things, to more things, to experiences that will help them as they go out and do their own things and go to college, wherever they decide to go to college, or take a career path, whatever that might be. I would like Pittsfield to be a place people want to come to live and want to come to raise their families, and just more and better.
My name is Eli Shepard, and I am the Dean of Students at Pittsfield High School.
Lawrence Carey, I'm the Dean of Students at Taconic High School.
Continuous
process. You're always, this isn't a field that you're just going to go and sit there, be content. Education is, it's amending, it's always changing. Mm-hmm. So you have to actively pursue that change in order to better your practice, especially when you have taught for a certain amount of years and then you're fortunate enough to get in a position where you're an administrator. Now you're making those systematic decisions. You're going there, you're assessing teachers' instruction. So you have to know your background. You have to know your content in order to go in there and say to a teacher, well, you should have done it this way, or I would have done it this way. Best practices, best instruction.
A lot of our conversations as educators revolve around what are we going to do next, and how can we continue to learn, and how can we continue to grow, and what do we want to do next? I mean, we're unique in the sense that we're both young to be in these positions, and there's, when I was hired for this position, my principal said to me, you have to be careful, there's only so high you can go. Once you're in administration, there's only so much you can go. And my answer to that was that I wasn't looking to push off what I wanted to do just because I was going to hit a plateau. I'll find something that I want to do. I know I will. If it's a principalship, if it's beyond that, really push yourself to kind of, if you know the track you want to take, don't not take it because of your age. Don't not take it because you don't think you're ready for it or qualified for it. If you believe you are and you know you are, you kind of have to take that risk at some point and jump. So we collaborate with families nonstop on a variety of different levels, both for disciplinary and for acknowledgments. We communicate with them about logistical things. It's a lot of one way right now in my building. We send a lot home. We say a lot. We don't do a great job right now of getting families into our school. That's something that we, as our building, it's one of our goals for the year, is to get family engagement in our schools. One of my ideas and really my goal for the year is recognizing that we might never get tons of families into our schools. School isn't a safe place for everybody. If a parent has a negative, memory about going into a school, especially if they're from here and that was their school, they're not super comfortable walking in there. If they're not comfortable walking in there, how do we reach them? So one of my goals for the year is actually to get out into the community and use some of our community spaces to hold school meetings. So did you guys go to that Tyler Street Lab?
Mm-hmm.
So using that space and holding a Pittsfield High School meeting in that space where people are they can walk, it's closer. They may have gone there for different community events. They may already feel comfortable. They may know the person who's running it, so that they're more likely to attend the meeting and be engaged and kind of give us some feedback. Also using a space like the Boys and Girls Club, where parents are there all the time for sports games, kind of if we're not going to get them to come to school and we need their input, and we do need their input and we need their collaboration, finding other spaces within our community to do it.
In the teacher aspect, it's just being in those informal conversations, popping into the classroom, saying hello in the hallways, because most times we're going to the classrooms to observe, and sometimes the feedback could be negative. So, if you're constantly having those conversations with your teachers, building that rapport, building those relationships, those conversations, when you do have to have them, that's hard, go over a little bit smoother.
We base everything off the teacher's standard. We really do. The rubric. When we meet as a district, we use the evaluation rubric as a guide for our agendas. When we meet as a school, we use that. When we meet as subcommittees, we use it. It's not to use it as an overkill. It's to use in my thoughts, it guides us. Let's not do things that isn't tied right back to the standards and what we're here to do. So we can come up with great PD, but if it's not tied to what the direction that we're going in, then it's not necessarily useless, but it's not as directed. When we come up with our district and school improvement plans, we use the standards. It guides us in a way that we can all be on the same page and kind of push our efforts forward so that we're not all trying to do a million different things. My favorite standard, high expectations. I'm not going to try to cite the number. 2D2 maybe? 2D1? I think that in any section of any school setting and holding students and teachers and administrators to high expectations allows us to grow and allows us to be successful. Everything else will fall into place if we can set those expectations and then follow up with them.
Mine is a standard one, well-structured lesson. Everything that we do, we have to plan. So if you don't have a plan going into the class, you're going to fail. So.
I am Olivia Enda. I'm a rising sophomore elementary education major from Howard University, and I was born and raised in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Considering I went through the Pittsfield public school system myself and saw all of the adversities in which it took to be an African American or just like a student of color in general, I am beyond proud and astonished that things like this are happening now, even though they should have happened 50 plus years back. But knowing that there's change coming and that I am part of that change is really humbling. Going into the schools and working one-on-one with teachers has really made me sure of the profession and my passion of teaching and being an educator, especially with young men and women, or growing up to be men and women. And I hope that seeing more teachers of color within the Pittsfield public school system is not just part of a statistic, but rather an eternal impact on at least one child.
Through this experience, I was able to gain a very eye-opener about diversity, and just the world is really diverse, and it just really opened me up to the beauty of diversity. And in the words of Maya Angelou, it is time for our parents to teach young people early on that in diversity there is beauty and that there is strength. This quote really stuck out to me because that I learned that diversity is different, and that when we are together as one, that it can be a beautiful thing, and that in this beautiful thing, through it all, that something beautiful can come from it.